to attack Iran. So I have to take my hat off to the Israelis. They have run an intelligence operation in the United States that has deeply influenced the media and the U.S. government, especially the Congress and the Senate, in support of Israel. It is astounding, sir. And
they have also managed to get you fired from the Jamestown Foundation. You were a fellow at the Jamestown Foundation, I think it was mentioned, I'm not sure if it was by you or by some other people, that they were told that they will lose the funding which comes from certain people, certain foundations, if they don't get rid of you.
That's what I was told. I gave a speech before their annual conference in 2008 now, and I said, looking forward, I think that President Obama will be just exactly like George Bush when it comes to the subject of Israel. And I said we would find him doing the Tel Aviv two-step, which is a kind of a dance. Two-step is a dance here in the United States. And that apparently didn't set well with the funders of the Jamestown Foundation. So they called me and said, we no longer need your services. But I'm just a small fry, Yosri. What happens to me is less important, is not important, compared to letting Israel drag the United States into wars with 1.4 billion Muslims. That is an absolutely insane position for the United States to be in one that has to be stopped somehow.
But it's slightly more than symbolic that someone, especially in your stature and your experience, would be treated as such. And it's also a very strong message to others.
Well, it probably is, Yosri. You know, at the end of the day, I enjoyed that position, and I thought I did it well. But until then, I was talking about the power of the Israel First lobby here in the United States from secondhand information, from what other people had told me. But now I've seen it reach out and grab me personally. And I have no animosity about it. In fact, I found it very useful because now I understand the kind of power they exert on a small fish like me, or on the Atlantic Monthly magazine, or on the New York Times, or on CBS News. It's a very powerful, in my mind, a very criminal operation that's going on in the United States.
I'm sure you're familiar with the situation in our part of the world when it comes to information, or rather lack of information, and the tendency to fill in the gap through conspiracy theories. And there's quite a few of them surrounding a mammoth event like 9/11. I would like to see things from the other point of view, from the US point of view. Do you think that all the information, or at least the necessary information that the American people deserve to know about 9/11 have actually been delivered to them?
I think a good deal of the information has been delivered, Yosri, but I think more could be released, and it would help to satisfy Americans that they had the real story. The United States government has a kind of a sickness when it comes to information. It classifies everything at a very high level, and it never gets released. I think personally, I testified, and dozens of CIA officers testified before the 9/11 Commission under oath. And we also provided really a great deal of documentary information. I think if the 9/11 Commission released its archives, the American people and the people in the Muslim world, around the world really, would know that Al-Qaeda was responsible for 9/11, and would know that the US government under Mr. Bush and under Mr. Clinton did nothing to stop 9/11, or didn't do what they could have done to stop 9/11. So I think the release of more information would be very useful. I don't expect it to happen anytime soon, because it would really tar the politicians in both parties with really an abject failure.
And that's why actually I tried to provoke you into talking a little bit about the 9/11 Commission report, because I don't know. I mean, you know one or two things about myself. I know one or two things about yourself. And to be honest, I will tell you my honest opinion. When I first got hold of this copy of the report, and I finished it, I did nothing but immediately read it all in an hour or two, more than 500 pages. And my immediate reaction, my immediate feeling was such a sorrow for the American people. For them to be told that 9/11 could not have been prevented, and 9/11 happened just because other people were bad, we were good, and it was only failure of imagination to be blamed. Failure of imagination.
Yeah. Yosri, I resigned from the agency in 2004, not because I disliked the agency. I loved my job. But I resigned because the 9/11 Commission had whitewashed everything in the lead up to 9/11. All of the opportunities the agency provided to the U.S. government, all of the warning that had been provided us by no one less than Osama bin Laden himself. And what really caused my decision to resign, there is a short paragraph in the 9/11 Commission report that says in the future, the U.S. government must work harder to make sure that Muslims know that U.S. policies in the Muslim world are for their own good. And it goes on to say some Muslims believe U.S. foreign policy is an attack on Islam, but they are very few in number. And once I saw that, I knew that the whole intention was never to talk about the negative impact U.S. policy has on relations between the United States and the Muslim world. Okay. And I wanted to talk about that publicly, right. But I've been able to speak quite a bit, but I've never had much traction.
Right. I would like to talk about one thing that might look minor in the whole of this discussion, but it's getting bigger and bigger. The issue of Ground Zero Mosque. Where do you stand on this issue?
You know, Yosri, I'm a great believer in the United States Constitution, and I believe that people have a right to build structures to serve their purposes for prayer and other services. I'm not sure that 9/11, the Ground Zero area, is the right place. I think there could have been a more appropriate place, and I'll tell you why. I don't know what the intentions of the people who want to build that Ground Zero mosque are. I have to give them the benefit of the doubt that they think it will promote interreligious dialogue, yes, between Jews and Christians and Muslims. But I believe that at least amongst the people who are fighting the United States, Osama bin Laden, his allies, the people they inspire, to see a 7-story mosque rise on the ground of what they consider a great victory over the United States will certainly be seen by that group and by Muslims who generally dislike U.S. foreign policy as something of a victory. So I'm not sure that that's the right place to build it, but ultimately that's a legal question and not really in my bailiwick. I think I would oppose building it where it's going to be built, but I would certainly try to find another place, maybe a nicer place, where it could be built.
Micheal Scheuer, thank you so much for being with us tonight. It was a pleasure, sir.
It's always a pleasure, Yosri. You're always very kind.
Thank you, وشكرا جزيلا لكل أعضاء فريق الإنتاج هنا في القاهرة وأيضا في العاصمة الأمريكية واشنطن، على أمل بلقاء قريب إن شاء الله. طيب الله أوقاتكم.